Hey everyone, in today's tutorial we are going to be learning responsive web design in Figma using a real website, that is WhatsApp. This tutorial is meant for a beginner, those people that still feel like their work is still lacking some edge. Okay, we are going to use this opportunity to design WhatsApp in a way that when presented with the original WhatsApp interface and the one we've made, nobody will be able to differentiate, or it might be very hard to differentiate the original one and our own design. We are not going to just stop there. I'm going to teach you how to create illustration, how to create icons, and where to get resources from online, and we'll end it by making our interface responsive in a way that is going to be able to adapt to any screen size. Then we are also going to show you how to inspect a design, that is, inspect the responsiveness of a design, just like the way you can be able to inspect every live website out there on a browser. Grab your seat and let's get started. All right, so for us to get started, you just have to click on the responsiveness here, the name here, and then duplicate the design file. So that you'll be able to have your own copy that you can work with. I have made a screenshot of the interface that we are going to be designing. So I was supposed to design the desktop application, but I just found out that the interface for Windows and the interface for Mac might probably be different. So I decided to go with WhatsApp Web, which I believe is totally the same for everyone. We are not trying to maybe rebrand or redesign WhatsApp to something X. No, we are trying to show a potential client that we can be perfect when it comes to attention to detail. We can be able to do or design the same kind of interface or something much better. So please, I want you to be able to bring up your own reference and be able to match up the design using the principles that I'm going to be showing you, or using the flows in the tutorial. So with that being said, let's get into it. I'm going to bring the frame tool and then bring a frame size. So when you come here, you have the frame size. So here I'm going to go to desktop and then choose MacBook Pro 16. So I needed it to be a bigger screen. So, and the MacBook Pro 16 is the highest in Figma here. So that's why I'm using this. Now the next thing we are going to do is to give our frame here a guide that will help us not to put things in a place that it might not necessarily be okay. So here I will select your frame and then go to layout guide, so and change it to columns, and I think we'll leave it at default 5 for now, but what is much important in this scenario is the margin. So here I'm going to give it 20% margin. Okay. Now, so that's because anything we are adding here is not going to be going beyond this margin here. So it's more like a guide to know the edge, or maybe prevent adding something on the edge, because most times it will look bad and other times it will look weird. All right, so now that we are done, the next thing is to begin our design basically. All right, so we are going to start with the background color. If we are starting a project, like a full project, which I'm going to be going into in this channel, like be able to show you how and what to do when you are beginning a new project, but that is for another tutorial. But in this case, we are not going to be maybe setting up a style, or like font style or any other kind of styles. Okay, for this, we are just going to try to match up what they have already. Okay, so in this case, I've been able to pick out some of the possible colors that I can see here. So I just went in through this design and be able to pick out these colors. So you can be able to use it, or maybe use the colors that you can be able to pick from your own screenshot as well. So now the next thing is to select this guy, press I, and then pick this color here. You can see this color. I'll press Shift G to be able to hide the guide there, so you see what I just did. You can see this side is a little bit darker than this side, so we are using here for now. For the icons, it would have been possible for us to create all of these things by ourselves, so I would have shown you how you can be able to create it. So, but that would take forever, and most cases you'll not be able to create. You don't have to create this icon. If you are working with a bigger brand, some of these skills have to be specified. Like there are some people that will focus on iconography, that is creating icons for other designers to make use of. So, and there are some people that focus on other roles. But when you're working with a startup, which is quite most common among these roles, is that you have to be the one to do it. So, when you are involved in a project that involves you creating a custom icon that you think no one has ever done before, so you might really have to be creating the icon by yourself. But in most cases, you don't have to do that. There are a huge library out there, which I'm going to be showing you, that you have to make use of to be able to get most of the common icon that everybody uses. So now, let's say you want to create the icon by yourself. How do you go about it? Okay. Now, what you should know is that there are some certain rules that we use to create icons. Okay. Now most icons come in these sizes. Okay, 16, 24, 32, or 48, depending on the size. But the most commonly used is 16 and 24, and 24 is quite obviously the most popular. Now, for you to create your own icon, so let's try to recreate this guy. Let's say, because you can see the settings icon is actually here, and now let's say maybe you want to create your own icon by yourself, which is very, very rare you do that. Now what you can do is to select your frame like this, and then we are going to be using 24, which is, I told you, is the common, the most popular use case. So we'll bring a frame like this, and then we'll make it 24 by 24. All right. Now, when you make it 24 by 24, now we are going to give it a guide so that it will enable us to know, help us to do things the right way. Okay. Now, what you do is select this man like this. Okay. Now, this time I'm trying to show you some of the rules that the people that design icon, that specialize in designing icon, these are the rules they follow to get a perfect icon. Okay, so now I'm going to select the layout guide and just zoom closer here. Now, by default is grid, so I'm going to change the grid to 1, and then I'll make the color to be something like 50, just to get that grid out there. And then the next thing I'm going to do is to add another layout guide, but this one I'm going to change it to column, and for this column I'm going to make it 2 columns. Now, by default, it will be stretching, okay, which is what we want. Now, I want to make it a little bit brighter and increase the opacity of the color there. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is to select this guy here. You press Ctrl D to duplicate, but instead of column now, I'm going to change it to rows so that it will now cover the, you understand what I mean. Now, the next thing we are going to do is to begin to design. You get? So now that we have something like this, we can now begin to select a rectangle, and then using shape to design your icon is like there are other ways you can be able to use other elements to design your icon, but using shapes is actually the most efficient way, in my own opinion. Okay, you can see I don't have to place things here. This is a guide that will not allow me to place something beyond that particular place. So now I'm going to select this guy, and I will make sure it's centered. You select and align. I'm going to press Ctrl D to duplicate, and I will rotate it 60 degrees. Now, when you're rotating, if you hold Shift, you're going to be rotating an increment. So now I want to make it 60. And once you make it 60, when you press Ctrl D to automatically remember what you did, which is pretty cool. Now you have something like this. The next thing you're going to do is to select them all, come here to the Boolean operation and say union, so that you'll be able to join them to become one shape. Now the next one is to bring another shape called ellipse. Now I'm going to make something like this here, and then I will align like this, and then I'm going to change the color so that you'll be able to see what I'm doing. Now I have something like this. I will select this guy and this one and use the Boolean operation again, and then say subtract, just to give it that hole in the middle there. Now that we have something like this, we can now add it a stroke and then remove the fill. Now when you add a stroke like this, kind of cool, you can make the stroke to be outside. When you make it outside, it's going to be overflowing. So, but let's get it done like this. Okay. When I was adding this guy, you can see they are intersecting, and that is where I can still come here to this subtract and select this ellipse here and scale it down like this. Okay, I think this is much better for now. And we have something like this. Okay, we are not done yet because if you come here, we can now come here to the rounded corner and give it something like maybe 5, or maybe 5 is too much. We can make it 3, just increasing and decreasing. This is for experiment purposes. You just have to play around until you get what you want. Now you can see my icon is actually okay. So let this guy duplicate, Ctrl D, and now you have something like this. If I turn this guy off, the guide, I just want to turn the guide off so that you see my shape is perfect. Now, one thing you should note about creating an icon is that making sure that the width of an icon is the same, is non-negotiable. Okay, that's because if the width are not the same, it's not going to looking proportional. It's not going to be nice. So if you're going with 2 for some reason, you must go with 2 in all round. Okay, if you're going with 1, you must go with 1 in all round. Now, creating this icon, all of them like this might take us forever. So that's why I've been able to use some libraries to be able to collect some of the icons. Okay, now one of those libraries I've used material symbol by Google. Now this one has a unique feature, as I want to show you first. So if I'm looking for something like a map, for instance, you can see the icons are very tiny. Now you can say, okay, I want it to be something like 48 size, just like what I told you here. By default is 24. You can see it's very tiny. So, but you can increase depending on your need. Okay. And now by default is also stroke. So what if you want a few version? So all you just have to do is to turn it on. Yeah. And now the icons are now coming few. Then you can also say, you know what, if you turn it back to stroke, for instance, you can say, you know what, I want it to be tiny, I want it to be bold, something like that. So you can customize it as much as you need. Okay, another one I'm going to show you is called a forceful icon. Yes. Now this is one I use quite most. But the downside about it is that it's a little bit limited, but the icons are actually quite modern. It also has a feature for stroke, width, and tiny kind of stuff, but their icons are quite much beautiful. Okay, you can donate as well if you want to. The last one I'm going to show you here is called Iconify. Iconify is a jack of all trade. Okay, if you search for any icon, it doesn't have like a filter to know if you're looking for a fee or stroke, but it gives you like a vast icon set that you have to scan around to be able to see or get whatever you're looking for. So you just have to, in general, it contains most of the icon that you ever want to get, and this is the plugin that I use to find some of these icons. Yeah. So if I've gotten any icon, all I just have to do is to drag it out like this, and then you have it. You get? So now, why I have this guy like this, you can see the one I created here. By default, this thing is turned off like this because I've watched my students see whenever they have, or maybe they brought an icon out like this, they say like this guy is disturbing them, and then what they'll do is to click here and remove it out of this place. Once you do that, you are causing yourself a very big disaster in the future. In your design, basically, because when you do that, your design will no longer look proportional and it will not look professional. Okay, so the essence of this frame at first is to make sure that the shapes are actually equal, because this shape now is not the same thing as this shape. Let's say I bring this one out now. Okay, if I should select this guy and align like this, okay, now you can see this one now has a little bit it has a little bit of space. But now if you should come in here like this and remove this guy, like this. Okay. For some reason this is not perfect, but if I select this guy and remove the fill, now you can see these guys now have the same authority, the same space, using the icon without the frame. So always make sure you do not remove this frame whenever you are using any icon, you get. So with that being said, I've been able to screw around the entire plugins that I've shown you so far for the icon, and I've gotten a lot of icons here, probably that will be able to take us through our design. So just pick any icon that we are going to be using from here, because I know if I'm picking that from the video, it will take forever. For the logo, I use a separate plugin called Brand Fetch. Brand Fetch is a plugin that gives you a logo of any company that you're looking for. You might not have like your local brand out there, but some of the international brands that you know are here. So you can search for any brand, or you can pick any brand. In most cases, you actually be going for SVG. If you don't select FVG, it's going to be a little bit complicated for you. You might have to be removing background, which is not what we want. Okay, you might not be able to change the color in the cases where you have to change color. So that's why SVG is very important. And again, whenever you zoom close to your design, it doesn't lose quality. So please make sure you always use SVG. You want to start from here. If you bring this guy from wherever, from this plugin, you have to right click and say frame selection, add shift A. Now when you add shift A, you can see you can be able to give them the amount of padding that you want. Now we just want 5 padding, so now we can be able to give it a fill of white for now, and then we'll go to the scale tool again and scale this guy down. We'll make it 30 for now, and go back to the move tool and give it a rounded corner of 100, just to make sure that they are perfectly round. I think 5 padding is not good enough. We can make it 5 again. Okay, I think this is good enough for now. Okay, we might want to scale it down, but as time goes on, we'll be scaling. All right, the next thing you do is to select the type tool and then just write like this. From all the experiment I had with the font, I think Roboto was the one that was very close to matching the design. So this is Roboto, and then I'm going to make it something like 20. And I will select this guy. I still need to scale this guy down. So what I'll do is to select this guy, shift A, and make it 20, 10, and make sure it's hog, and select this guy. I just double click to select the main the main logo, not the auto layout. So, and then press the K tool to go to scale and make everything here 15. Now you can see the way it's looking. Okay, I think it's much better. Then go back to the tool there, and I think this is okay. Now the next we are going to do is to add this one here. You can see the icons here. So I'll come here. I don't want to be duplicating from that place. I just want us to design everything from scratch. Select all of them like this, shift A to add auto layout on them, and select this one too, and this one, shift A. Okay, and make sure it's hog. And if you select this guy, you see the width here is 117.28. So copy it and select this auto layout here and paste it on the width, Control V. Now, and then what you have to do now is to go to the cap here and select and make it auto. When you make it auto, this guy will jump off, and then you can now select the frame here and align like this, align to the top like this. Okay, and you can see it's actually cool. But now you see that this guy is going beyond the margin, the guide that we added earlier. What we can now do is that, if you remember, when we are adding this margin, we made it 20, right? So the same thing we'll do here. So let this guy go to the padding, horizontal padding, and make it 20. Now, and then you see this guy is black, which is not giving enough contrast. It's not what we have in the design there. Look at what we have here. So what we'll do now is to select this guy. Now, when you select that dude here, go to selection color. You see the colors that are in the design or in the element you have selected. You see black there. We change our black to white. And now you have your design. Vertical padding of 10. Select this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy, and this one. Okay, I got the logo online, the Meta AI logo. I think I got that online. Right click and then frame selection. You have to frame selection first, then you now add auto layer shift A. When you add auto layer shift A, you can see everything is proportional, and then we can now give it 5 by 5 padding. Okay, why we are giving it padding at first is this. I want to show you something cool. You can see this guy. Okay, now you can see what I did here. If you add it a padding at first, so it will be easy for you to be able to prototype the hover state, the click state, and the the default state. So here you can see I can be able to easily turn this off and on. But if you have not done that, it will be much difficult to achieve at the end run. So now I have something like this here, and I'm going to do the same thing here. Right click, frame selection, and then shift A. And just do the same to the rest, please. Now that you are done, you can now select everything like this, and then press shift A to make them one auto layout. You know what? All the selection color that is black, make them this color. So, and now you have something like this. Now there's something a little bit tricky here. If you look at this place, you can see we have a little bit of a border there. So what you do now is this. You select this one here, and we'll come here and give it a stroke. And in this stroke, we are going to make it go to individual stroke, individual side, and then set it to top. And once you set it to top, you go to the padding now. Expand this padding and go to the top padding, top vertical padding, and then increase it to something like 20. Click here and copy this guy here. Okay, I think that should be okay. Yeah, right. So now we have something like this, and we'll also select and move it a little bit back. Then we'll select this guy. You can see it's totally off there. So what I will do is to select this guy and then go to the padding here and set this side of the padding to 20 so that it will move it backward, and make sure it's set to hug. Now you can see we have something like this. Now I think we have most of the essential things that we need to do. Okay, then this side I think is a little bit tricky. So what you have to do now is to select the settings. Now I'm going to, for the profile that is at the bottom there, I'm going to use an ellipse for that. So as an ellipse like this, and for this guy I'm going to right click and then frame selection. Please, one thing you should also notice that some of the icons that you might be bringing might be having different sizes. In case if they are not 24, just make sure they are 24. This one should not have 25, and this one, something like that. So like when you go through this icon, if they are not the same size, okay, it will be difficult to be able to match. Okay, this one's 28 point something, okay, and 28 point something, you get. I don't know if you understand what I mean. So like this one now, I have to now copy this guy here, Control C. I'm going to delete this so it's not going to be confusing. I'm going to select this guy, duplicate like this. Okay, by default now it's 24, right? So, but I already have like a custom size for all the icons there. So what I'll do is to press the cat tool and paste that size here like this. So it doesn't make much difference because the difference between the both sizes are not that much. So, but it's actually very important, and these are some of the details that you might ignore that people are looking to observe in your design. So, now that you have added that, so the next you do is to frame selection. You right click and frame selection, and then shift A to add auto layout, and then make it 5. And select this one. I think I'm ready to decrease this one. This side doesn't really matter because it's a profile. It might be bigger than the rest, which is quite understandable. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to the gap here. I'll make it 30 or maybe something closer. You get? So make sure this one is aligned to the center, please. So you select this guy, Ctrl X to cut, and select this one, Ctrl V to paste. And once you've pasted, it's actually here now. Okay, now I want to be able to move this guy down like this. So what I'll do is to select this one and this one. Make sure these things are in the center like this, so that it's not going to be difficult for us. So they are now in the center, and then you press Shift A to group these ones together and group these ones together. Let me make this guy the color that we have in Ctrl C, and this one Ctrl V. Okay, now we can now be able to, scale this guy down like this. But you can see this one is still sitting there. So all you just have to do is to come here and say auto. When you do that, it's sitting at the way bottom. So I want to bring it up a little bit. So we'll come here and make it something like, let's make it 30 for a text, okay? Look at where my on is. So I'm going to come here and bring it up a little bit. So I'm going to make it 50 for now, okay? It's going to remain 50 for now. And this guy should come closer, so I'm going to make this 20. You get? Yeah. So I think that profile icon is a little bit bigger than the one. So I'm holding Control. I'm holding Alt and Shift at the same time to scale this guy a little bit down. Yeah, I think I love it like that. So now we have this set. The next set that we are going to be getting is to add a profile picture here. So to add a profile picture, we use Unsplash. Yeah, you just click on portraits. I think I'll just say 3D portrait. Okay, 3D portraits. I'll change the orientation to square so that it will give me something that will fit perfectly. I think I love this. And duplicate. Okay, and I'm going to increase it to something like 30 and increase the weight to, instead of regular, I'll change it to medium. Okay, for these two icons here, add message and more. Duplicate like this, change the color. I want to group this guy together, Shift A to add a layout on them, and select this one, Shift A to add a layout. Make sure it's auto. Okay, and then we are going to leave it like this for now. Then the next thing is the search icon. So for the search icon, I'm going to duplicate this one like this, and I'll search for search icon here. I will change the icon to something like this. Select this one, Control X, and select this, Control Shift R. Control Shift R is paste and replace. I'm going to move it to this area, and I'll select this guy. Answer, I want it to be 10, close, and this one should be something like this, making it a regular, and this one should be 15 for now, or maybe later we'll experiment and see what we can do. But now I'm going to give it something like 5 by 5 in our side, and I'm going to give it a fill, Control V like this. And for the whites, I'm going to paste it on the white area like that. So we have something like this. I'm going to give it a rounded corner of 100 for now. And you can see this guy is getting to the edge a little bit, and this one is not close. I'll make the gap here 5, or maybe make it 0. Okay, I think 5 should be fine. Then for this dude here, I think you need to come in a little bit, so I'll make this guy 15. Okay, 10 should be fine. So I just want to shift this guy a little bit closer, so it will be okay. Now you can see we'll be able to make something like this. So I'll now select this guy and this one, shift A to add auto layout on them. And the another thing we need to do. Okay, we have this all on red favorite and group. So to do that, I'm going to select this guy, Control D to duplicate, and I'm going to select this guy and delete, and I will select this one and write all. So, and I'll change it from field to hog, and I'm going to give this guy 15. That is to give it a little bit of gap there. What if I make it 10? Okay. If I make it 10, I think let's try 8. Okay, we have all, and then Control D to duplicate. So I'll select these two, Shift A, and then give it a horizontal alignment there. I have on red, and I can duplicate again, Control D, and we have favorites. I'll duplicate again, Control D, and we say group. But we are going to select these guys, this one, and this one. I'm holding Shift to select 3, and press Shift X to flip the narrative, basically flip the field to the stroke, basically. Control V. So for the stroke, what I did to get that stroke is to just select the color here and make it a little bit brighter, like this. In short, that is one way you can easily get colors from design. Get. So most cases you just have to use the colors you already have to generate another color that will work well. Okay, now I can now select this guy and move like this. Now why this one is not moving is because I set it to hog. Okay, even if I set it to fill, I still control the gap. Let's say I set it to fill, for instance. Okay, I still control the gap that is have to be there. You get, but when I set it to something like auto, now you can see the item get distributed equally to other areas. So, but I want it to be 10. You get, so this one is set to fill container, and that's why it's moving, and this one is set to fill container, and it's set to auto. That's why it's moving outside. Because I'm explaining that because people get confused. So sorry. Okay, so please, I hope you are getting it. In case if you are finding it difficult or have any question, leave it in the comment. I will try as much as I can to answer you as soon as possible. Now that we are done with this section, I think the next section will be this guy here. Okay, the chat section. So we are going to design this area. Okay, so what we are going to do now is to bring the archive this area. Okay, so now I'm going to bring the icon here. I'm going to write archive, let it fit very well there, and then Shift A to add auto layout, and then give it something like 10 or 5. Okay, I think 10 is okay, and make sure it's hog, and change the color like this. We are using this color that is here. Okay, now that we are done with this, we can now begin to design the charts, basically. So what we'll do now is to bring this text here like this, and I'm going to duplicate. I'll write the name of the person I'm going to be chatting with. Okay, and I'll write this is like our recent message. Okay, so I'm going to make this 15, and I'll take this color code here, Control C, and take it on this one, Control V. Okay, maybe later I will show you why I'm going to do that. Okay, now you can see I have the name of the person and our recent message, which is this one. Now under this recent message, you can see if I'm done the send message, right? This red receipt is going to be here, and then the time the message was sent is going to be here. So now you can see the person I'm chatting with is aligned with the time that the message was sent, and the red receipt is aligned with the recent message. So now to do that, I'm going to duplicate this one as okay. The message was sent by 11 12 for an instance. So I will click on auto width. I'm going to make it white for now. So all right, now I have white like this. So now what I'll do is to select this guy and this guy, shift A to add auto layout. Then I'm going to bring a rectangle again and make something like this. For this rectangle, I'm going to control the proportion and then make it 40. You have to look at your chart and make sure if it is what you want. Look at the size of your images. If it's big or small, you can basically reduce it. So I'm going to take this guy and increase the corner radius to something like 100, so it will be completely round. Then for this guy, you see that this one and this one, shift A. I'm going to add that to the layout here. Then for this one, it's going to be 15. So I'm going to reduce the gap to 10. Yeah. Okay, something like that is okay. And I want to align it like this. Okay. Now, for this one, I think I would like it to be one line. I don't want it to be two lines, but I still need this text to be here. So what I'll do now is to come here, select the double click and select the main text, and then go to text settings and click on truncate text. Now with that, you can see the text is being truncated, which means if I select this guy and expand this text, the more I expand, now it's not following that auto layout here, because if you select the text now, I need to set it to fill container. Now when I fill container, if I reduce the container, the text gets reduced, and if I expand the container, the text expands as well. So it's more like the okay. So let's continue with the next, and then for this one, you're going to select this guy and this guy, shift A. Okay, and I'm going to reduce the gap there to 10. And for this one, I'm going to select, change it to medium, basically just for it to have a little bit of weight. And now I will take this auto layout and say fill container. Now when I fill container, I'll make sure that the gap is auto. You can see this guy will automatically jump to the end there, which is kind of cool. And for this one, I'll select this guy. Now I want to show you something. For those of you that love chatting with emoji, now let's see how you can be able to add emoji here. Let's say I want to add emoji here. All you just have to do is to click on window period key, the key after comma on your keyboard. I don't know what it is on Mac, but I think you can just browse the key to add emoji on Mac. You can use it to fill up the entire space like that. So the next is to select this group now and select this guy, shift A to add auto layout. Make the gap 10 and make sure it's set to hug. You get. Now we cannot take this guy. I feel like this one is a little bit small, so I'm going to make this guy 50. Yeah, I think it's much better now. Yeah, I like it. Okay, now we can, it seems like this one is 2, so I'm going to make this 5 like that. Okay, that's okay. Then we can begin to maybe add an image, so I'm going to use Unsplash to do that. Okay, so here we can now begin to style this guy to achieve whatever we want. For this guy, I would like to use this color code here, Ctrl C, and for the time, I'm going to use this color code V. Yes, and for this one too, I'll use this color code here. Yeah, so I'm just double clicking to go in and come here and press Ctrl V to paste like this. Now obviously we might, okay, let me duplicate first because we have different variation. So here we might have only one receipt. That is, if the person have received the message but have not read it yet. So we have one there. Maybe I'm going to shorten this guy a little bit more. So we have one check. So only this one now need to have this color. Why this one will be like this. So this one might be this time. Why this one will be something like yesterday. I'm going to select both of them. Shift A to add auto layout like that. So I'm going to duplicate again. Control D. Maybe I'll quickly change the name of it just to have different variation. So now that we have something like this, I might want to give this guy different colors as well, different images as well. So now that we have something like this here, I'm going to select this guy, Control X, and then select this one, Control V to paste, and then I will use the arrow to move it up. But again, I want to select these guys and these guys. Okay, now if you should add a fee here, you can see the fee is not looking very nice. So what you're going to do is to select them, these three like this, and then go to the padding and make them 10 by 10 padding like this. Okay, now when you make them 10 by 10 padding, you can see that these guys are not aligning very well. So what you do is to select the item inside like this one and set it to fill container. You can see that, fill container. So this will be very important when we begin to make it responsive. So fill container like that, and you can now select them again. Okay, just give them a rounded corner of 10. Yeah, I think this is cool. But for now, we don't need the fill. We just need we don't need the fill in all of them. So I'm going to remove the fill, just hide it like this. Okay, and then yeah, I think we are good. Are we? Okay, so we are going to select this one like this and make it white. So copy this color code. Okay, and make this all white for now. And take this guy. Is it? Yeah. I'll paste the color code here just to switch in between them. Then the rounded corner, I'm going to make it 10. Yeah. So I will take this guy here. What did it say? Get WhatsApp for Windows. Alright, so I'm going to click here and I'll select this auto layout like this. And yeah, I think this is okay for now, but this guy is too big. So I'll select, double click to select this guy and basically increase the contrast, or maybe go to the cat tool, the scale tool, and then reduce it from 50 something there to something like 40. Okay, is it okay? So auto layout has been added here. I think I can just reduce the auto layout to 10. Sorry, the pattern on the auto layout to 10. Then I will select this guy, press I on the keyboard. When you select this guy, press I on the keyboard, you cannot be able to pick this color. Now the gap here, it should be 10 at least. Okay, I'm making it 20. Alright, so the next thing is to add a padding on this. Okay, I'm going to increase it to 10 by 10 padding like this. And yeah, I'm going to give it a fill, but the fill is going to be the same color as this. Okay, and I'm going to give it a stroke but the stroke has to be on the top only, and the stroke color has to be this guy here. So Ctrl C this color code, select this guy, go to the stroke color, and paste this guy there. Maybe it might not be the final code, the final color yet, but as we progress, we are going to make adjustment. You can see what we have here now. So the type chevron and something like this comes up, and I think I can just make something like this, just like this one. Okay. Now, what I did was to just reduce the fill. So from 24, I made it 20. Maybe I made it 15. Yeah, just for it to be a little bit smaller. And then I selected the pen tool. I click here, and here I was holding shift. I hold shift actually to make it a straight line, and increase the width of the stroke to something like 10. 10 is too much. Let's make it 5, and change the endpoints there to round. Then select this guy and this one, shift A, and reduce the gap like this. Yeah, and basically pick this color here. Sorry. Yeah, you go to selection color and you pick this guy. Okay, so that's how that one was created. It seems like this one should be a little bit bigger, so I'll make it 6. Alright, so now I have something like this. The next thing I'm going to do now is to duplicate this guy to have more. Okay, I'm going to select this 3 like this, and then press Ctrl D to duplicate. Now, when I duplicate, I want to show you something now. Okay, if I duplicate and I shorten it like this. Okay, if I go to the preview, make sure you launch your preview. If you select this guy, you press Shift space bar. Okay, you can be able to launch the preview like this. Alright, now if you scroll here, you can see that nothing is happening. But now, when I come here and then go to portrait, prototype, and then set it to go to overflow and set it to scroll vertical, you'll see now that when I come here, I can be able to scroll this guy as much as possible. Okay, now you're not seeing the difference, and that is because if you come here, you have to check this one called clip content. You can see when you clip content, only what is showing, only what is on this guy within the frame here that will be seen like this. You can say if I extend this guy, I'll see more. If I reduce it, I'll select. So if you come here now and scroll, can you see what we have now? Right? So now we cannot take this one and make it somewhere here like this. So we cannot take this one too with this one and Shift A to add auto layout. Now we are going to align it like this. Okay, so it's going to be at the top there, and we are going to reduce the gap to 10. Okay, at the same time, this one has to be fill container as well, because if it is on fill container, if you reduce this guy, it's going to reduce like this. If you extend, it's going to extend like that. Hope you get that. Now we cannot take this one, and this one. We say Shift A to add auto layout. Now to add this auto layout, you can see everything is scattered. The first thing we do is that everything has to be aligned this way, and the second thing is that everything has to, this one has to be fill container. Okay, fill container like this.
Now, when it is field container, you can see it's extending way beyond, but I want that particular one to be center aligned, like this right too. Okay, just like this. Okay. Now, I just remember that I have a cancel button here, but in this one we do not have it. So what we do is to come here, Control C on this cancel button, and come here. You select the auto layout like this, and then press Control V. Okay, once you do that, you cannot take this guy and reduce it like this. Okay, but I think I'm going to use this color code here on that button, this one. So I'll copy, Control C, because I don't want it to be that visible. Yeah, I'll paste Control V like that. Okay, it's way too dark, but it's okay. Now, this one is not field container, and this one is also should also be field container like this. So this one is already field container. Now we can now begin to reduce the gap. Control, okay, the gap is way too much, so I'll make it 20 like that. Okay, the gap is not as much as I need. Let me make it 25. Okay, just to create this this gap here, because I wouldn't want it to look like I wouldn't want it to look clustered there. So let's see, always check your preview to see what you're doing. Now you can see these guys are getting too close. So we need to create we need to increase the proximity there, like let them know that this guy is different. So I'm going to make the gap here 30. Okay, I think 30 should be fine there. I don't know if this one is okay, or maybe you should increase this text to 20. Let's try 20 because it seems to be a little bit lost. So let's see. I seem not to be happy with that. Okay, we can increase this padding here just to create what you want. You can see this one is 8. Why not make it 10? Yeah. And this one, why not make it 20? Yeah, cool. I think it's much better now. Okay. And now for this one, what if it is 25? Anything that will help you to avoid visual cluster, I think you have to follow it. Now we have something like this. On the archive, I think it's a little bit lost. So why not increase it to 20 and increase this guy is 22. So I'm going to select the scale tool and make it 24, just to bring it up a little bit, which is cool. Now I'm trying to look at my design and begin to use my eye to balance the visuals. Okay, so there was no time that I know that this guy has to increase or decrease, but when I look at my preview, I see that something is lost or something is too big or something is too small. I begin to experiment to get the size right. The end goal is to make sure that everything looks perfect. Okay, even though it can never be perfect, it can only get better. All right, so now I can take this guy and bring it here. So make sure I switch back to the move tool. So I'm going to move it here. Now, as I'm moving this guy, it's supposed to move with this one. So what I'll do is to select this guy, select this one like this, and I'm going to go to the gap and set it to auto. Now when you set it to auto, anytime you adjust the main container, they will all adjust. But I just want only this one to adjust and not this one. Okay, so what you are going to do there now is to select this one and this one. This is what I'm doing now. I'm selecting this one and this one. So I'm going to give them another auto layer, Shift A, to give them another auto layer. Now I can now make them 30. Now, I want this guy to fill up, so I'm going to duplicate multiple of this. So here, 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 here. So I'm going to duplicate, Control D. Did you see that? So when I duplicate, I can be able to move it like this. Now you're now seeing my duplicate now, and that is because this one is shortened. Like, remember we shortened this guy to be small like this. So what we do now is to double click here, look at this guy. You go to this place and set it to fill container, and double click again. You see this one is a little bit short. You go to that place and say fill container as well. Now, as you begin to fill container, you double click again and say fill container like this. Can you see that? Remember when we went here to do this guy and we set it to clip content. That is why when it was like this, you get, when it was like this, it was hiding our duplicate. So, but now that all you just have to do, you don't need to uncheck this guy because it's very important. Watch, let me show you something now. If we go to this place and then we scroll, did you see as we are scrolling, you see what is happening is overfloating. But now if you go and say clip content, if you play again, you see what is happening. Did you see? Very cool, just like the way it's supposed to move, right? Yeah. If you have gotten to this point, you are a pro, okay? Now I'm going to now select this guy and say view container on the vertical axis. Now what this one means is that anywhere this guy is, if I keep extending this guy now, it will keep extending like this. If I shorten it from the big container, it's going to be shortened like that, which is pretty cool. Now this is what I want here, like this. Okay. And I think if you've gotten to this place, you're a pro. Yeah. So now we have something like this. Okay. The next thing we are going to be doing is to see what we need to adjust, and then we proceed with other necessary features too. I think this guy is a little bit lost. I'm going to increase this one. So let's go to sketch and make this guy 20, and make this one go to the move tool and make this one 8. Of course, I wouldn't want this one to be too much, so I'll leave it 6, please. So if I go back, okay, what if I need it to be 8 now? And again, I can increase or shorten this guy like that. So yeah, I think it's okay now. Kind of cool. Okay, you have to look at your own chart and see if you are getting it right or not. Please make sure you use your chart to do something. So, and again, what I want to show you now is that if your own is not responsive like this, there must be something wrong somewhere. Okay, if it's not responsive like this, something is wrong somewhere. So all you just have to do is that everything inside is set to fill container. Everything, like only this main container is not fill container, right? So but every other thing inside has to be fill container, and something like that. We now have a lot of complex auto layout in here, which if you come here, you see how it is here. We have multiple auto layouts inside another auto layout. Okay. I've actually, for those of you that are still struggling with auto layout, I have a video out there that I have explained auto layout in the basic form as possible. So I will try to go slow on this auto layout issue here in order for you to be able to grab it. But if you think you still need extensive lecture on auto, specifically for auto layout, yeah, I think I would recommend you go and look at that video. Well, we can continue, please. So the next thing we are going to do now is that if you look at this place, you see we have this guy here. So what we do now is to select this guy, add a fill. On this fill, I'm going to the color code there is this dude there. So you pick this guy here like that. And now we have something like this. But this is the worst we can present to anybody right now. Okay, so what we'll do is to select this guy and give it a padding of 20 by 20. Yes, if you can set it to hug, but if you set it to hug, it doesn't really matter because we have to be adjusting this guy as much as we need. So this is 20 by 20, which I don't think is serving the purpose. So how about 40? Okay, 40 is too much. Let's make it 30. Okay. I'm also looking at this place and seeing, if you are getting it right or not. Okay, so we'll be iterating on this and see where we need to adjust as time goes on. Okay. I don't know why I feel like my image is a little bit short. That is, these icons are very short. So I don't know why I have that feeling. Like it's very small. That is, it should have been bigger than this. But this is me just feeling that if I convince myself that it is small, yes, then I have to go back and increase it. You get? But for now, I think I just need to proceed. Okay, so now that we have something like this, I'm going to give it a rounded corner of 20 like this. Okay, and I'm going to give it a stroke and select this guy and come to the stroke here and then paste it. Yes, so this is the color that I have on the stroke, and the same color as well that has to be here. Okay, the same color has to be here as well. So I'll take this one too, and I'm going to come here and paste Ctrl V. Now, this is where things get a little bit complicated. Yeah, because watch, this guy was supposed to fill this area. Can you see the way this one is? But our own now, we now have something totally different. Can you see? We now have a gap here, and that gap we have there is because of this dude here. So what we do is to come here and remove the outer layers here. Sorry, remove the padding here. Okay, when we remove the padding, everything has to be 0 padding. Okay, now you can see, now that we don't have padding there, everything is matching perfectly. Okay, which is pretty cool. But now, how do we add a padding here without affecting other stuff? Okay, and that is using another means to add a padding. Okay, now if you watch on this area, on this level now, okay, we have this guy here, right? The entire container. But we also have another layer that is inside this one now, that is not affecting this guy. So we have this other layer here. So that means at this level is where we need to add the padding of 20 by 20. I don't know if you get the point now. You can see this one is now stretching. And again, on this padding, it's not everywhere that we need 20 by 20. So maybe on the bottom side, we have to be 0. Cool. On this side, it has to be 30. And that is on this side, it has to be 30. Okay, is that nice? I think 20 should be good enough, please. Let's not complicate things for ourselves. Okay, I'm experimenting, please. This is not the final work. Okay, if maybe tomorrow or next, and I feel like I need to adjust something, yeah, I have to come back here and adjust something. Now for this color, this background color here is no longer the color that we need, so we need to pick this one so that it will be matching exactly. Okay, so I'm going to take this one here and bring it down like this. And now, we now have something that looks a little bit convincing. But if you come here, you see that this place is sharp. Now this place is sharp, but this place is round. So the way to achieve that is that we'll come here and we say on this rounded corner, in case your own is not expanded, the corner already say we are going to say, you know what, this one has to be 0. Yeah. Are we there? Okay. So this one has to be 0, and then this one, every other thing has to be 0 apart from this top area. So 0, 0, like this. And again, for this one to also work, we need to add a stroke here. Okay, so all we just have to do is to select this guy, because the stroke we added here is being covered by this one here, this guy. So what we do is to select it, come here, and then go to custom. When you go to custom, you can see that only the top side is 1. So we'll also say this side should also be 1. And now if you click off, you see we now have something like this there. Okay, do we also need it here? Yes. So we'll also come here and say this side is here. So we also need 1 here again. Yeah. So you can see we now have that construction there, which is pretty cool. Yeah. Now, and again, the good part of this is that if you select this guy, everything is responding as supposed to be, which is pretty cool. I don't know why my eye keep telling me that this guy is too big. Although WhatsApp wants you to be big because they prefer you using the desktop application instead of the web application. So, but at the same time, for our design to be right, I think I'm going to reduce this guy to 30. Yeah. And reduce the padding. No, I think the padding should be okay. So the next one is this area. Now, for this illustration, in as much as I want this design to be procedural, for illustrations like this, okay, it can be done in Figma, but there are still other places where you can get illustrations that you can use on your design, you get. So for this one, I designed it, I look at the screenshot there, and then I try to redesign it in Figma. So I'm going to show you what I've done there. I'm going to take this guy. I just selected the screen. So this is the screen that I'm designing now. The first time you opened your chart, this is how it's going to look like. Okay, and I decided to design it in Figma like that. So for you to get icons like this, there are a lot of places you can get it. Some are free, some are paid. So one of those, as I was making research, okay, one of the sites you can visit is this is a very good resources, like it's called UX Library. UX Library, like this. So now, when you open this place, you find a lot of resources, but we are looking for the one that are going to give us illustration. So where you come here to this place called free resources, and then you say you are looking for illustration, and it's going to give you different sites. These are different free sites that you can get illustration from. But the one I use most of the time is on Draw. All you just have to do is to click on it, and you go to on Draw websites. Okay, browse. Let's say I'm looking for house. Okay, I'm looking for a house, for instance, or maybe you can search, or you can just come here. Let's say I need something like this now. I click on this and I download. Make sure you download SVG unless you need PNG. So when you download the SVG, you get it, and then you, wherever it is, you go and bring it to wherever it is, you drag it into Figma, and then you begin to use it. So with that being said, what if you want to design our own? So what I'll do is to right click, and then I'm going to lock this guy, and I'm going to show you one or two things I did. I try looking at different approach to this. So what I did was to mix this one and duplicate to this place, something like this. Now I can now select this guy and come and say 20 or maybe 10, and this one I'll make it 10 and 10. So now I have this and this shift A. So what I did was to select this guy and pick this color here and pick this. I was actually picking color from the illustration from myself basically. So and I think the one that is going to be a little bit hard is this guy here. So what I did was to make something like this. I decided to eyeball this like this, make something like this, and I flip Shift X. I just flip like this. I selected this guy. Just make adjustment like this. Just selected this guy and give it a rounded corner of 10. 10 is too much. Let's make it 5. And this one, this one is 5, 5. And this one's supposed to be the next one is come here. I also use this guy to make something like this. Okay, something like this. And go to this place and make it 10 or maybe 5. And this one 5. Make something like this. Now for this one I duplicated like this. Just reduce the size and make sure it's matching very well. I took my time to make sure it looks perfect. You should do the same too. You can see everything is mixed up now, but what you can do, stroke and add this color there for now. But now the stroke is a little bit weird, so I'm going to make it outside and reduce this guy to something like 0.5. I'm going to group that to Ctrl G to group, and the same thing here. I pick this color like this and move it like this. I'm going to select this guy and this guy like this, Ctrl G to group like that as well. Now I can now be able to move these guys around. Yeah, you can, in case if something is looking weird, you can basically adjust it. So like this, okay. Now I can see the way this one is. All I can do now is to come here, bring this onto the front. To bring something to the front, you right click, bring to front and bring to back. You can see the shortcut there. Let's position this guy like this, and for the rest are basically icons. Okay, you go to a place like this and search for and look for different codes that is going to work with there. You bring it like this, so make sure it's not inside there. So you press scale 2 to bring it something like this, and you go to the fill, you change the color like this. Now when you change the color, it's not looking as this. All you just have to do is to select that guy there, this one, add a stroke around it and make the stroke the same color as the background, and now you have something like this. Okay, so that is how I was able to fill up. I added a message, I sent message or telegram, charts, documents, and line like this, and then cancel. So that is how I was able to get that icon like that. You select everything. After you are done organizing them, you select everything and group them, Control G. Do that, and then let's continue. So I already have mine. I'm going to unlock it, right click and then go to unlock. Okay, so I'm going to scale this guy a little bit like this, and we are good. So you already know what you did. So if you select here, you see that it's light 40 and this one is 20 regular Roboto actually. So you select this guy and this guy shifts A, and this one add shift A, and the caption should be 50, maybe for now. 50 is too much. How about 10? Maybe 20, sorry. Now I can now take this guy to the center here, and again I need to have that download button. So what I will do, you have to set this guy to fill container. Please this text fill container and this one fill container, everything here. This one has to be at the size that you want it to be. Okay, now I'm going to select this guy, duplicate, Control D, and then I'll just write download. Okay, and set it to auto weight and press Shift A to add auto layout, and come here and add 20 by 20 padding, and I'm going to change the view to this dude here and change the color here to the background, and I think this guy is going to be 10 and this guy is going to be 50. Select here and have something like this. So now if you resize this guy, you see everything is resizing perfectly the way they should, and they are adapting very well. Okay, the last one that we are going to do is this one here. Your personal messages are encrypted. Select the text and come here to our icons, and we have this padlock here. Move it here, select this one, Shift A, make the gap something like 10, and Ctrl C, Ctrl V, just to make the color the same, and select this guy and this one, Shift A. Now this one, the gap is going to be R2 for now, and we'll just move it to the bottom here. Add it a few, this place a few now. Don't worry, this place is taking a lot of time, and this is one of the time consuming area. Every other side is going to be easier. I want this one to have a stroke as well, but the stroke is going to be only to the top, and the stroke is going to have the same color as this. So I'll copy this color code from here and paste it on the stroke like this. Okay, now select this guy and this guy, Shift A, and now select this one. We can maybe make this guy to fill container, you get, and also make it to fill container, I know, horizontal and vertical. At the same time, we want the gap to be 0. Yeah, and now if we extend this guy anywhere we want, you can see the way it is now. Okay, so now some things are looking weird. So what we'll do is to double click to come to this section and set it to center align like this. I think we'll still take this one and set it to auto. Let's see. If you set it to auto, then this one cannot affect it like this. Or if you do not set it to auto, let's say we set it to any size, this one can still be anything. So it depends on the way you want it. So I'm going to set it to auto, and then use this padding on the top here to move it to something like 200 to make it in the center like that. Now these ones are extending, making the text very hard to read. So in that case, we'll double click here and give them a horizontal padding of 50. Let's see. Okay, 50 is not much. So, but we can increase this guy like this. Let's see what we have. If we go to our preview, you see that we are beginning to build and build and build. Yeah, it's still very far. Alright, so now we have something like this here, and I think if you've made it to this point, you are a pro. Alright, so the next we are going to do now is to see that some things are missing here. We have this number of charts, number of, so that they are going to have the same equal side. Now you can see they are now, yeah, you understand what I mean? So make sure it's centered, because if it is not, you will begin to receive something like this. Alright, so for this one, maybe we can increase it to something like 24. Okay, but if you do that, it's going to do something like that. But I think I love what we have, and I'll make this guy 5. And the padding to be 5, but at the same time, now make it 33 by 33. Just make sure both sides are equal, and we can now set it like this. Now, for us to bring it here, because it has to be somewhere here, is a little bit big, so use the scale tool and scale it back to something like 15. Yeah, and go back to the move tool and make sure it's aligned to the center like that. Okay. Everything should work well. Yeah. Now what we do now is to find a way to add it here, right? So we have to make sure that it's inside this place. But now when you add it there, it's creating its own space. And then you go to this place and say ignore auto layout. Make sure this dude is selected. And then ignore auto layout like this. And then you can set it to anywhere you want like this. Now this one has a field that we need to add, because if you come here, this shows that that is the select state. Just add a field. You can see it's white. Give it a rounded corner of 100, which is no longer perfect white. I don't know why, but I know why. Because this guy is not set to hug. It's not set to, yeah. Can you see? So now I'll come here and then the field, I'll reduce it to something like 10, so that it's going to create that default state. So what I do is to, if I created something like that through that means, I will come here, and pick this color that is here now. So in this place, because for developers now, they will find it difficult to get this color. When they select this guy, they will be seeing white there, but it's not white anymore. So what I'll do is to come here and select this color pick and pick this color here, like that. Now if you go there, you can see the color code that is there now. It's no longer white with a reduced feel. Okay, so now we are getting there. So the last one here is to join these guys together. So you select these two panel, or maybe this one's is not yet cool. So what I do is to duplicate these guys. Yeah, I'll duplicate this one out and remove this one. So when you remove it, you can now be able to select the scale tool and make it anything you want. Let's make it 10 now, or maybe 5, since it's going to just be a dot. So press Ctrl X to cut and select this one and this one at the same time, or maybe this one, maybe just this two. Ctrl V. When you do that, you go back to this place and say, I want it to be, you understand what I mean? Okay, I'm using the arrow key to position it where I think it's going to be good. If it's not the way you want it, let's see. Yeah, I think our own is a little bit tiny, which is not cool. Yeah, I'm going to make this 10, and yeah, 10 basically. So these two panels, you can see they are different, and this guy is different. So select this and this, Shift A to add auto layout. Press V, and you can basically increase or decrease the gap there. So let's check our preview and see what we have. Then this guy is a little bit small compared to what we need. So if you go to this place, I think it's quite cool now. Very much better now. We can select these two. Yeah, to measure the gap there. If we come here, see the gap is 25. We just want it to be 20. Then we want to make this one responsive, because we might not have the time to begin to, work on this differently. Watch. If you go here to the preview, you see, once you come to this area and you say responsive, can you see the way things are looking? It's not looking the worst, but it's not the best at the same time. So you can say this place is not responding well. So how do we do that? Okay, all we just have to do now is to select this frame, go to the constraint now, in case your own is hidden. Just click on this constraint. You'll be able to see on the horizontal constraint now, we are going to make it left plus right. Then this one too, on the nav bar, yeah, we'll select this guy, the horizontal constraint to left plus right. I think that is all that we need to do for now. Yeah. So once you are done, you go back to the preview again. You see, okay. Now, what you are having, everything is right except this guy. So what is going on? Okay. So if you should select this guy, now this place is set to auto. We don't want it to be auto. We want this gap to be specific. That is 20. Is 20 too much or too close? So let's try 30. Okay, 30 is okay. Now if you go back to the preview, you see this. Yeah. Can you see? But this one is not also adjusting to where it's supposed to adjust to. Let's find why. Now we can now come here and see if this guy, the items inside, are they set to fill container, because those are the issues that could cause this guy not to respond. Now you need to begin to interpret. The outer stuff doesn't need to be fill container because it can be, but the ones inside has to be fill container, like this one is not fill container. Yeah. So double click again just to check the individual stuff there. Cool. Now let's see what we have again. We'll come here and then you see, pretty cool. Can you see everything is responsive now? If you scroll here, you have your item and every other thing that we need to get to. So yeah, congratulations for making it to this point. Yeah, the next one is going to be this frame and this frame. So see you there. Now that we are done with the first page here, the next one is to design the chart. That means whenever you select anyone from here, you'll be able to see your conversation between you and that particular person. So now what you are going to do here is to just select this one, Control D. Now that you've duplicated, the next thing you're going to do is to launch your preview so that we'll be able to click on this guy here, open a presentation view, so that we'll be able to see what you are doing in real time. Now we just have to start building the chart. So what I'll do is to duplicate this guy here and set it to auto weight, duplicate this guy like this, and duplicate this one. So I'm trying to use the some of the assets that we already have. Okay, I'll duplicate the time there. So since this time and the red receipt is going to be there, so it's going to be in the same size. So I'm going to give it a gap of 5, and I think it's going to look like this. Add this one actually as sheet A, and then give it a gap of 20. By the way, you need to know the size of my text. So this is 20 here, and then I'm going to give this guy a fill and give it this color here, Control B. Yeah. Now I'm going to see if it's resizing. Now it's not resizing because it's not responsive yet. So you take this guy and set it to fill container. And once you do that, yeah, the magic begins to happen. So now I'm going to see if you resize this guy, you can see is adjusting. Since this is the chart, you can decide to add your favorite emojis as well in the chart. So remember how to do that. Window key with period, you'll be able to add your emoji. I'm going to take this one. Right. Make sure you set this guy to fill container, so you can now be able to adjust like this. But then just bring a rectangle like this and double click on it to go to the path mode and select this guy and make something like this. Okay, and then you select that point and make it round, You can select any point, basically just make it round, so it's not going to be 100% sharp like that. And once you are done, you just press the I key while it's selected and pick this color. So now if you press Ctrl X and select this guy, press Ctrl V, you see it's creating its own space, right? So you are going to put it to ignore auto layer, so you'll be able to move this guy to anywhere you want. And at this time we just want it to be here. You can use the arrow key to move it in and out, depending on your need. Then select this guy and give it a corner radius of 10, for now. Then if you resize it again, I can see that dude is moving out. Okay, you have to select it from here. You go to the constraints. If your own is looking at this, click on this guy, go to the constraint. By default now it's set to left, the horizontal constraint. Set it to right. When you set it to right, let's see, it will now remain right. That means it's not going to be moving anymore. Okay, then select this one, Ctrl X, and select this one, Ctrl V. Now you can see it's creating its own space, but we can select that dude here, this guy, and say vertical constraint and align bottom. Yeah. Okay, now you can see we have something like this. Basically, I think it's working. This is the first one. We will try to create different variation basically for the receiver. Okay, so I will just duplicate this one like this, and I'm going to select this guy and select this one. Okay, basically I think what I'm going to do here is to set this one to horizontal like this, and increase this guy like this. Something like this should be fine. But select this one, move it, use the alignment to move it back there, and use this guy to flip. Okay, when you flip, you can now use the arrow key to move it outside, so you'll be able to see it. Now you can change the color, Ctrl V. Okay, now you can see we don't need the red receipt because we are doing receiving. I think this time is a little bit small. Why not? I don't know. What if you make it 20? Yeah, I think it's okay like this. Alright, so we can begin to create different variation. Let's say you are replying a message, for an instance. You can see the way it's looking. So if I should duplicate, if you send a message concurrently, maybe we'll just stop here. Okay, and this dot is going to go, the arrow there is going to go. Now we have this variation, and let's say you are replying a message. To reply a message, you're going to make things a little bit complex here. Sorry about that. So let this guy duplicate like this, and duplicate this one, Ctrl D, and I'm going to say this one is you, this is you. That's okay. I just click on the auto width, and yeah. Then the next thing, this is the message, right? And the time is going to go. Okay, so for here, I'm going to select this guy and set it to vertical, like this. Okay, and set it to this side. Now we have something like this. So I will select this guy and give it this color, something like this. So you draw a point like this. I just selected the pen tool and then draw a point like that. Okay, just a line. But I want to show you something. If you reduce the gap here to something like 5, you are going to have this one. This is the conversation that I'm replying. So I'm going to select this one and make it something like 15. And basically I'm going to resize it like this. Okay, and I'll set this one to this color, paste it here, Ctrl V. Now the first thing I did, I was experimenting though. I selected this guy and then I added a stroke. So when I added a stroke, I made the stroke to be left, and then I changed the color to this and increased the stroke width. Now look at what it's giving me. now it's trying to make it look like a dot there, but it's like it's not cool. So I decided to remove the stroke and use this one, control. Now I'm going to change this guy to this color so you see what I'm trying to do there. So I'll increase the stroke width to 2, and then maybe I'll increase it later, control X, and I'm going to select this guy and this one. You press shift A, right, and then take this one, control V to paste. And when you paste, you're going to now set this guy to vertical and set this one to this area. Okay, so because of the padding here, I'm going to remove it. 0 padding. Now, and I'm going to set this one to clip content, so it will not be able to hide this guy. Can you see what is happening there? Now, if I select this guy and increase the stroke width like to 5, so we now have something like this. And at the center, we need it to be aligned to the center. And at the center, we need the gap here to something like this. So we have 10 gap there. And if you resize, you can see it's actually very responsive as well. So now, what we can now do is to select this one. Okay, this one now, this is the main, like, let me increase this one a little bit. Yeah, I don't want it to be too much at the same time. I don't want it to be too small, so I'm making it 8. I set this one to feel like it's using the size of this guy to operate, which is not very nice. So what we'll do is to select, it sometimes might be very hard to select, just make sure it's selected like this. Now it's selected when you see this pointer, and set the height here to fill container. Now when you do that, you can see it's no longer giving it enough gap. So we are going to use this auto layout inside, that is the group of this reply and this U here. So I will select this guy here and then give it a padding of 10. Now we are going to select this control, select this frame. Okay, let's first of all treat this one so you're not going to be confused. We select this one and this one, shift A, and then select the main container and make them to be vertical like this, and select this one, control X, and select this one, control V, and move it up and set it to I'm setting the width here to be fill container like this. Okay, and I need to go look at that place again. Can you see the way it's looking? Yeah, I think, yeah, it's right. So maybe if the gap is too much, you can just make it 10. Yeah, I think this is cool. Then the gap between this guy, you can just make it 20, just so it's not being intimidated. Yeah, so now we cannot be able to set this on control X, control C, and select this on control V. Yeah, if it's like you can see it's overlapping, now you can use the right and left bracket key, or you just right click on it and say bring to back or send to center back. Now so it's going to be below like that. So we now have something like this. And the good thing about this is that you can add photo. For an instance, let's say that is a photo that you want to send with a caption on it. So if you bring a rectangle like this and press Ctrl X and select this one, Ctrl Shift R, Ctrl Shift R, paste to replace, and then you can now be able to set this guy fill container and give it a rounded corner of 10. You get, and then you can add your photo, so which is pretty cool. Now you have a photo that you can select this guy, use unsplash, the rectangle is the one selected. Yeah, so now we have a photo like this, which you can add to your chart as well. Okay, now how can you assemble all of this together? So here I'm going to have this chart here, then this one that's there's no bubble on it, and sometimes you might need to get this one like this, or maybe reduce whatever that I send there, so just have something like this. Okay, and this one we have something like this. Now we have a reply, and we have this one. Okay, and then we also have this one. So they are just in different scenarios how we are going to use them. So now look at how it works. You select this one, you add shift A, for an instance. Okay, I'm going to give it a gap of 20, and you select this one, you make shift A again, a gap of 20. I'm going to take this one, duplicate this one once, and say you're going to select this two, that is here, shift A, and make sure it's centered like this so that you can be able to control the gap anyhow. So but for now I'm going to set it to auto. Auto means that if I'm shifting this guy, it will be adjusting on its own. But now you can see the gap there. It has to take the size of this guy, that is, it has to come in between, for an instance. Okay, because we want to make it look like, let's say he just replied to you, something like that. Maybe you said this one and reply, and you said this one, something like that. Okay, so what you are going to do is to come here, you select this one, Control D to duplicate, and select both of them like this. Okay, let me undo that so you're not going to get confused. Okay, now I'm going to select this guy. Let's say you've added a layer and you want to remove it. You press Control backspace like this. So now I have these two. Okay, let's say you said this one and said this one, and then he replied, and you now said this one again and said this. You get? So what we do now is to select this guy, and this one you add Shift A, and then select this one, you say Shift A, then make sure it's grouped like this. So select this one now, you see the size, the height is 109. So you come here, the gap between these two, and you can see is 118. So which means if I set this guy to auto and move it inside, can it be able to enter? Even if it enters, does it have enough space? So I will select these two, and instead of 118, I'm going to make it 125. Okay, the gap here is not still okay. I'm going to just adjust it manually like this. So this is 16, or just 170 basically. So it will still enter and give it enough room. So now we have something like this. Okay, now the same pattern that we are going to use to create the rest like this. So for here we have this, and we can still, let me do this one as well. Okay, now for this one I'm going to select this one like this and duplicate, and for this one we have these two. So let's say the receiver now said something, just the same pattern, Shift A, 170, make the gap 170. Okay, it's not going to be 170 depending on the size of what has been said. Okay, now you select these two, and this two, Shift A, and make sure it's centered like this, or you can just keep it like this. Okay, and then this one, you have to now move it like this, set the gap to auto, and then move it inside. Okay, 170. What if we want it to be like this, the gap, we want more gap, so we can, yeah, if you want more gap, you can take that guy and make it something like 200. Yeah, just to give it more gap. It's good you give your design enough space. Maybe you later you see why you are giving that so much space there. So you can see, don't know if your mind is beginning to understand why we are doing what we are doing now. So we can begin to go on and begin to create more, let's say, you're saying, and it keeps snubbing you, for instance. Okay, so now we have something like this. We have grouped these ones like this and this one like this. So we'll select them or shift A and give them a gap there. Let's say a gap of 160 or maybe 170 or sorry 150, depending on the need though. So have to know why and how. Okay, so then the next thing is, let's say we want to say if this chart started today or tomorrow or something like that. So I can now select this one, duplicate like this, and then I can be able to say this one. I'll remove this guy and reset it to auto width and set this one to hog. Ctrl V and maybe increase the size if necessary. Maybe since it's going to be a 30, so we'll make it 25 for instance, just to make it standard. Now we press Ctrl X, you select the main auto layout here and press Ctrl V and then bring it to the top like this. You can see where it is. Why not you select something and align to the center like that. Okay, at the center you still need to select this one, fill container, so they'll spread out. You select this one, yeah, it's already fill container. Now if you select this guy and move like this, you can see we now have our text moving and adjusting like that, which is pretty cool. All right, so we can go on and begin to add, builds. Like if you want to add this one now, we can duplicate. Okay, what if maybe I want to say that after you said this one, you now replied. Okay, I can just select this one and duplicate, Ctrl D, and then move it to the bottom like this. You can see, so the chat continues like this, which is pretty cool. Let's say I replied to you, I highlighted what you've said and replied. So I'll just select this one, Ctrl X, and then select this one, Ctrl Shift R. Did you see that? Then I need to also go inside here and adjust this gap, the gap of this text. Okay, I think you can see it can enter, but there's no much gap. It's not looking clustered. So I'll collect this one and make this guy 200. You can see. So depending on the chart that you have added, you might need to still go and adjust the gap between them just to make it nice. You can duplicate this one again, Ctrl D, and then move it here. That's, oh, this guy sent you a message. And now let's say you cannot take this one and duplicate. I say the message started here, started on 15th February 2025. You duplicate again, and then maybe the day you guys started speaking again is okay. Let's say you guys started speaking on 20th again, or maybe yesterday. Okay, let's say yesterday because that's how WhatsApp arranges yesterday. Of course, you can use your chat system to your own WhatsApp, your own conversation to organize these things. Okay, so you now said Control D, and you guys started a conversation today. You get. So who sent message first today? I don't know. Okay. Yeah. So on the first day you sent a message. Then the second time you sent a message again, and the third time you sent a message. So the receiver or the person you've been sent it first. So the conversation continues like that. Now you can see from what we have here. Okay, if you look at the preview here, you see you can be able to scroll, and the WhatsApp background is there, and that's wow. How can we get all of those done? Since we've been able to do this one, okay. Now what we are going to do here is this. We are going to make sure this guy is aligning. So now what we'll do is to select this one. Now I will select it and then paste the background here, Control V, like this. Now, how we are going to do this, we don't know yet. So, but now if you select this guy and press backspace, Control backspace, it will not be able to remove the auto layout inside there for you. So if I set this guy to hug, you see some of the elements that we don't need. So I'm going to remove that one. We come here and look for them. So the way we are going to do it now is to right click, frame selection. And it's very important you do this, frame selection and frame selection and frame selection. Okay, now for this one and this one, I'm going to Control A. Now look at what we are trying to do here. You can see how close it is here. This one's very much closer than this one, so we'll try to get that. So this one, like this, we'll bring it closer to 5 or maybe 1. Okay, if 1 is too close, we'll adjust it. So this one, okay, now what you're going to do now is to add the auto layout, Shift A on its own, and then you're going to make it 5 for now, and this one, Shift A on its own, will make it 5 for now. Okay, now we can now select all of them like this, Shift A, and then align like this. Make sure it's aligned to the center. So maybe we can add this one auto layer as well and make it okay, let's try. So I just double click here, Shift A, and give it a padding of 5. So this is based on experiments. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So I'm going to make that guy. You can even go -2 if you want it to be much closer, because it seems a little bit far away from me. So I can say -5 or -2, just for it not to be too close. Yeah. So we now have something like this. Now what you are going to do here is this. And we are going to select this guy, Control X, and select this one, Control V. We are trying to make things a little bit complex. Sorry about that. Now I'm going to select this auto layout now and switch it to vertical like this, and then I'll control the gap by 10, and then I'll set it to hug. Yeah. Now what I want to do here is online. Yeah, because when you are chatting, you know if the person is online, that is if you did not hide your status. So I'm going to change the color to this bright 1. I think is it up to 15. What about 10? Can it be seen? I think we'll make it 15, and the gap here should be 5. Yeah. Now for this one, everything here is going to be white. Yeah, perfect. So now we cannot be able to select this guy, maybe hug for now, but the gap here should be auto, so you cannot be able to extend. But this one and this one, Shift A, it should be 10. Okay, let's make it 15. The gap, yeah, 15. Set this guy to hug. Cool. Okay, we can basically it's not like I'm just adding those things on my own. I can still go back and look at the design and see if there's anything I'm missing, or maybe I'm getting too much. You can say I did not add the online here at first, but I just remember that it's necessary. If you select this guy and duplicate like this, so we cannot take this one, Control X, and take this out, Control Shift R. Now if you remember what we are doing all along, you can see we want this one to automatically move to the top, right? So how do we do that? We are going to come here and we are going to remove every padding here. So remove every padding by 0, making everything 0. Now you can see we now have this one to the top. Select this one now and say fill container. Cool. Now come here and then give them a padding of 20 just to bring them inside a little bit. A padding of 20 like this, or maybe 20 by 20. Duplicate this search and bring it here. So to do that, you are going to come here. So I will take this color, Ctrl C, and copy all of this. Ctrl V to paste the color code there. So now I'm going to take this plus Ctrl X and select this one, Ctrl Shift R, and press this one, Ctrl C, and then put it here, Ctrl V. Please, the arrow can move back, and then this one, Ctrl C, Ctrl V. So now this one is a write message. So we have type a message. So I'm going to take this guy and then make it brighter by using this bright color here. Now I'm going to take this guy and this one and this one. But before then, you can see we did not add frame and auto layout earlier before, but we can begin to add them now. So select frame and select frame and select frame. Okay, now that we framed, you can now say Shift A and add auto layout of 5 padding there, and Shift A, add auto layout of 5 padding on both sides, and Shift A, add auto layout of 5. Now, while we are doing this, now you can see this guy is beginning to form. But now we can select this one, and this one, Shift A, and now select this one and say add to. So this guy is going to move to the back. I think we have our design there. Cool. Ctrl X and select this one, Ctrl Shift R. That is paste to replace. Now we can select this guy and give it a padding, a bottom padding for now of 20. Yeah, you can see it's not sitting at the top there. Then we can now select it and make it fill container. So when you select a fill container, it's going to stretch to the way to the bottom there, but we can still come here and find a way to give it a padding. So now I want to show you something. If you select this guy and now come here, so you know what, let's now give it a horizontal padding of 20, then you can see it will affect this one. Okay, let's say I set this one up to a different color for now. You see what is happening now? It's no longer stretching to the bottom there, which is not what we want. So I'm going to undo that and remove the padding. So we just want a padding to affect this guy so it will not be stretching to this edge there. So what we'll do now is that we are going to give this guy, let's just call it a meaningless auto layout. So we say Shift A to add auto layout, and then on that A, we now give that auto layout a padding of 20. Now you can see the auto layout is just affecting only this guy, and the use of the auto layout is basically to add that pattern there so that this guy can float. Now we've been able to do this. What else do you think we cannot do? Now the next thing is the background here, the WhatsApp chat background. Now let's say there are 2 ways basically we can do that. Number 1 is to construct our own from scratch. Number 2 is to download the background. So I've downloaded the background here. Just search online and say WhatsApp vector images, and then this one came up. I scroll all over to see a PNG background that I can be able to use. So what I type is WhatsApp vector background. So this one came up, and then I scroll down to see if I can get a PNG or a vector file. So I was able to get a PNG. So now, well, let's see. For instance, some of you will be like, okay, what if this never existed and you want to create your own? How would I be able to create it? Yeah, I like people that are curious though. So I'm going to show you something. Let's say I'm going to duplicate this guy for an experiment though. What we are going to do now is this. This one has a fee. I'm going to show you 2 ways. Number 1 way is you doing it by yourself. So let me show you how you can to do it by yourself. If you watch closely here, you see that this background is bunch of shapes, basically different kinds of shape combined together. So which means you can just come here and combine a lot of shape together. So I can select these guys here, as many as I can, and duplicate out like this. Okay, and then press shift A to add up to layouts. Now you can see it automatically organizes it for me, which is pretty cool. Now I can begin to see. Now what I'm going to do now is this. I'm going to take this guy on this space called I don't know, I want to use, okay, let me use another frame and do this so that you understand. Now I have this frame here and I want to make all of this now a background of this. So what we can do now is this. Figma now has a feature here under the frame, under the view, sorry, you have a feature now for texture. So if you go to pattern, now you said on this way that say select source. Once you click on it like that and just go and point the source, which is this one, you can see automatically those bunch of shape now will become here. And the good thing about it is that they are infinity. That means you can stretch as long as you want. You have the option to align, scale, increase or decrease, and as you're decreasing it, you have the option for spacing in case if you need a space. I don't know why you ever need a space, but it's there for you. And you have the option for positioning, alignment, and all of that. So how do that come into play here? Now it will come into play when you come here. You select this field and say, I want to add a field. So I add another field. I will make this field now 100% for now. Okay, now I have a field that is 100%. Now I go inside this field and say I need it to be pattern now. Now on this pattern, I'm going to click here and say select this guy, click on select source, and now click on this one. Now everything is black. Now you cannot see it very well. But now if I select these guys and change the color to something like white, you can see everything is now white. So this is now what we can use, right? So we can now select this guy and go to that field. You can see the pattern field. Reduce the opacity to something like 10. Yeah, or maybe make it 5. Now can you see? And now have a background of our own. So you can begin to play with those things and to be able to get what you want. But I believe you understood what I did now. So the idea is you assemble different shapes, make them an outline or stroke, assemble them. It's either you group them or you just frame them. Okay. And they are basically infinity. So which means if you select this guy, now like let's say you say your own is tiny. Let's complain that our own is tiny. How do you increase it? You can come here to scale and increase this guy and maybe align it like this or align it like this, any side that is convenient for you, like that. Okay, I think you get the point. You get it, right? Now the next thing is using an image like my own. Okay, for some reason I don't have time to be able to create all of this because definitely this will take a lot of time to create. So I decided to get the image and maybe just be lazy, So how do I apply it here on this one? Yeah. So I just duplicated just in case if things go wrong. So I like duplicating things because most times when I do not duplicate, like when I do not have a backup, that is where a need for that would basically come up. So I don't like falling into such situation where I don't have option of going back, All we cannot do, you select this one and press, you can see this image here, right? Go to the field here, select it like this and press Ctrl C. You can see I'm clicking to highlight it, Ctrl C to copy. And then select this one, add a field, and then make the field, for now, let's make the field 100 and select the field like this. Then press Ctrl Shift V. Now, did you see what happened? It has pasted, but you can remove the field that you added initially. So now you can see how it's looking. You cannot reduce the opacity to 10. Now the good thing about it is that you can select this guy and scale like this, and it will be scaling. So to add our chart, I'm going to select our chart here like this, and then I'm going to resize it like this. Now some of you will ask, why am I resizing it? I'll select this guy and set it to top there, so that I cannot be able to resize from the bottom. Now when I resize like this, I cannot click content. When I click content, so I want to resize in a way that whatever frame I have here will be able to fit in here. So I'll press this Control X. So I want to undo that. Pressing Control S will cut it. So I want to press Control C so that I'll have a backup. So now can now select this guy and press Control V to paste that guy there. Now you can see it's not sizing it very well. And that's because you need to select View Container. Cool. Now that you have something like this, you can now be able to move it to the top. All right. You can see it's sitting on the basically sitting in the center. So we want it to sit here. That is be closer to this one. And now we can now select this guy and this guy. But before then, you can see that this thing is reaching all the way to the edge, but we need a cap. It shouldn't be reaching the edge there, and that is because you need to add a padding here, maybe a padding of, let's say, I just added 50 here, but you can make it 30. So something like this. Now, for this guy to close this gap here, we are going to select this guy and select this top one, and then give them Shift A. When you add a Shift A, now you can now be able to control the gap there. You can say it's 0 basically, or you say 20. Yeah, because this guy can still flow up, but make it 0. I will tell you why you have to make it 0. I think where I was complaining, or maybe where I'm being concerned about, is this guy. You can see he's reaching all the way to the top there. So what you do is to double click and be able to select this one. Then come here, expand this padding and give this one a vertical padding of 20. Yeah. Now, I did not give it from this one, because if I give it, when we are scrolling, it's not going to be getting to the edge there. So now we have something like this. We can now select this one and then say View Container as well, so that it will be getting all the way to the bottom there. And then you can also select this guy. Let's see. You can also select this guy and say View Container as well. View Container on the height. You can see the way it is now. Now, for some reason, for some reason it's not getting all the way to the bottom, but I think we can manage that. So we are going to leave it here for now. All right, now we have to select this one. If you double click, now you select to this range. Okay, you go to prototype and set it to overflow. Go to the overflow and set it to vertical scroll basically. Now we have something like this. So all we cannot do is to say this one now should now replace this one. Okay, maybe if there's anything I've done here that is not clear to you, please, I would love you to indicate in the comment section, in case, because we were here just combining things, and I believe if you have not done something similar to this, you might get lost somewhere. You get, please, I just say it in the comment. I will try as much as I can to maybe help you out in any way I can. Now I'm going to select this one, press Ctrl C to copy this guy, and double click here like this, and then what you're going to do now is to paste to replace. So I'm going to press Ctrl Shift R. Yeah, so you can see what we have there. We'll now select this one and say View Container. So now we have it. If we go to our preview again, It's still loading, I guess. Yes, it has updated. So now we can now scroll like this. Yeah, for the name of the person I'm chatting with, I think making it broad will not be a bad idea. Just to make it stand out a little bit. Or you can increase this guy to something like 2 2. So now we have this one. So the last one that we are going to design is now I was thinking that the way it is basically is that when you open WhatsApp for the first time, it will look like this. You click on a chart. Let me do this one. This guy is a chart selected. So if I select this guy now, if I turn on this, okay, I've added a feed to this guy in case you've forgotten. So, but the feed now is not the best. So I will click here and then look for something close here, something like this. So this is an illustration. Now nothing is selected, and this one, something is selected, and then we are now seeing the charts done in that particular area. So we need to also check if this guy is responsive for now, because if you select this one, yeah, is it? It is. Yeah, cool. The next one is to duplicate Control D. Now, when you click on this more option, this one opens up. This guy opens up. What we'll do basically is to select this guy now and come here, add a fee and make the fee something like 10, reduce the opacity of the fee to 10 and give it a rounded corner of 100 just to make it round. Now you can see the way it is. Why it's able to adjust to all of these things perfectly is because when we are adding it, we added auto layout and made it 5 by 5 padding, and then you can see the way it's just save us time instead of us now having to build it from scratch again. Now for this one, what you are going to do is to basically you're going to reduce this guy. So I'll double click here to select this area, and then I'll reduce this guy like this. So I'm going to duplicate this guy. I'm going to move my backups a little bit further. So what I will do now is to see that here we don't need the background again. So I'll select the main auto layout there and remove this background. And if I don't know if you're going to be confused building all of this from this place. Okay, like we can just decide to reset whatever we have here to this one, but it can be way difficult for others to understand. So we are going to build it from scratch. You get? So now, if we double click here, we can now be able to split this one out like this, right? So if you should select this guy, we can set it to vertical back and set this one to up and set this one to vertical as well and set this one to center and set this one now to fill container and set the gap there to auto. Yeah, we'll come back to it. So set this one to center and set this one to center as well. So here basically we are going to change the name, my teacher, and then this place is going to be the phone number. So I have something like Control V to just change the color there. So I'll set this one to 30. 30 might be too much. So 25. Why this one is 30. And we don't need this one to be too much. So why not make it 20? And then this one, by default is 60. We can increase this guy because it should be way bigger. So I'm going to increase it to 100. So for this one, I'm going to duplicate this, just add for now and then say my teacher. Basically, I think it's the same word. So I'll change it to 15 and change it to regular, or maybe just make it a little bit medium. Control X, Control X, and then come here, Control Shift R, and select this on Control X, and say Control Shift R. Yeah, so we'll change this one to the color that we have there. So I don't want it to be pure white, so I'm using this color code, which is very close to white. So I'll give them a gap like this. Control Shift R. Yeah, basically. So now we have something like this. You can increase or decrease the gap as well to something like 20, just to make it a little bit out of the way. You can set this one to fill container. This will make it a little bit more responsive in case we want it to adjust like this. Like if you scroll like this, can you see this is a header? That is, this is serving as a nav bar basically. So you can see when I begin to scroll, you see a lot of things. Now, if I click here, I can be able to cancel. Did you see that? And something like this. So we are going to get to that end. I'm going to duplicate Control D to duplicate like this. I'm going to take this guy and duplicate again, Control D. So I'll select this one, Control X. Yeah, and remove this one. So sorry, Control Backspace. Control Backspace removes an auto layout, you get. So I just remove the auto layout that is holding this one and this group. And I'll select this one and duplicate, Control D, and then I'll select this one and remove it. Now I can now be able to select this one, Control Shift V, like this, and I'll select this and make it a vertical auto layer. So here now I'm going to say about, and I'm going to increase this guy to 24, and paste the color code here, and I'll take this one. It's supposed to be regular, and 15 is okay. So now how do I align it all the way to the bottom there? Yeah, it's very easy. All you just have to do is to set it to fill container. Okay, so here we have, I'm just going to change this out to media link. So we can go and get a folder icon, Control Shift R, like that. Then for this one, I'm going to duplicate, Control D on the text, and just write how many medias do I have. Maybe I have 10 medias. So I'll press Control X and come here and press Control Shift R. You get. For some reason it just reduced, and that's because it was inside an auto layout. So you come here, copy this color code here, and select this one and paste the color code there, Control V. Yeah. So for the medias, now for this cap here, what I did there is this. You select this one, you give it, you can see this is an auto layout, right? You come here and expand this padding here and make it something like 50. 50 might be too much, but let's say 30. And then you give it a stroke and then make the stroke this color, and set the stroke individuals to top. You can make this guy a little bit darker like that. So here I think we are getting somewhere now. The next thing I did was to add the media. So what I did was to get something like this and make this guy something like 10 by 10, and reduce this guy like this, duplicate, select, Shift A, and take this one to 10, and duplicate, Control D, Control D, Control D. Okay, now this guys, I'm going to reduce like this, and then clip content for now. Okay, Now, how do we make it to enter here? Because now it's going to be a mess up if we do what you are having in mind. I don't know what you're having in mind, but if I do what I'm having in mind, it's gonna be weird. So what we do now is this: you're going to select this one and this one, add them in separate layer, Shift A. Can you see? Then select this one that we added the main auto layer now and set it to vertical. Yes. Now select this one, Control X, and select this one, Control V. Yeah. So you can select the scale tool just to reduce the scale a little bit. You get? Then you have the ability to reduce the gap as well. Go back to the move tool and reduce the gap to something 20. Should be fine. 15, I think 15 should be okay. So it's going to look like, yeah, they are close. So now for this one, I'm going to select and say fill container. Then maybe the gap should be increased a little bit, 20. 20 is too much, let's say 15. And then you have the ability to add more. Okay. Now, since I have this guy here, you can begin to select these guys and apply different images there. So now we have something like this. Everything is supposed to be responsive. Now, if I select this guy, yeah, is that? So this one is responsive. Is this one responsive? So everything has to be fill container, fill container, fill container. Yeah. So now I need this one to also scroll sideways, which means if this guy is small like this, I should be able to scroll like this. Okay, we don't need to do much. Oh, this guy is not responsive now. You have to select it like this and set it to fill container. All right, so this one, I need it to be able to scroll. All you just have to do is go to prototype here and set it to scroll horizontal. Now, it's very important that I did not select this guy to scroll horizontal. I selected the frame holding these images. But this one, I need this one to be separate. So I'm going to press Ctrl X to cut. So here I'm going to come here and remove all the padding here to 0. Okay. Then I'm going to paste now, Ctrl V to paste. So bring it to the top like this. Then I'm going to give it a padding of 10 by 10. Yeah, 10 by 10, and then give it a fill. The fill should be the same as text, but if I change this, the fill, I think you see what is happening there. Now what I want now is that this one, and this one, they should be in one auto layout. Okay, so like if I should move them out now, you understand? Can you see? Now I'll say Shift A to add the auto layout there. Now you can see these guys are now grouped like this. Okay, so you have a group now that is totally different from this guy. Now what we can do, if he asks, is this. I'm going to select this guy and remove every gap there to 0. Yes. And then I'll come to this auto layout that is in this group here, and then set the vertical padding there to the top side to 30. Okay, and then I'll set the horizontal padding now. Yes, horizontal padding of it to 20. And now we now have what we had, but in a different way. Let's make this guy back to Control D. So when we duplicate, all we just did, it says third message, notifications, and all of that. So basically, all I did was to remove this one, yeah, and duplicate this one now. Control D, and yeah, basically, yeah. So I take this one to 20 and duplicate as much as I can, and just be adjusting things. Okay. Some side that need to be grouped. You can see if you duplicate these guys, you begin to form another group. And the great thing about it is that we already have this outline on this group. Control Shift R. like that, and just write start message. So now you can see I don't have this guy here. I can just remove it. Yes. The other one says mute notification. Control Shift R to get it switched here. Now you can pick this color here. So I'm using selection color, not fill, because if you use fill, the result might be terrible. All right. Now this, if in case if you did not get the icon there, you know what to do. So for the notification, I just get this Control C and go back here and Control V, Control Shift R basically. Control Shift R. Select this guy. Control C, copy. Control V, paste. So that's that guy will change color. So that's what you do until you get to, wherever you want to get to. Control D to duplicate more and more as much as is needed. So I'll duplicate again. I don't want you to do it like that. I want you to finish it. I want to see what you come up with. Now that you see the way we've done it, the next thing you need to be conscious of is to make sure that everything is responsive. So select these guys and make sure everything is responsive. So because now if I scroll like this, you can see the things that need to scroll are scrolling, which is cool. You get. Now I'm going to use my own in this place. So we now have something like this here. So I'm going to scroll. So I think what I did here was to just select this guy, resize it like this. I set this guy to hug. I'm going to select this guy and press Ctrl X. When I press Ctrl X, I can now come here. Now in between this guy, you can see this one is here and this one is here, right? So I want to select the container that is holding them and then press Ctrl V. When you do that, you can see it's not setting itself up to that level. So what you can do, you can select this guy and say I want this one to fill container. Yes, and then say I want this one to also fill container. Okay, and this one should be fill container as well. So now we have it. Make sure you select this guy, and you can see if you go to the overflow now, you see you have vertical scroll. What I did was to prototype that. Let me remove the existing prototype there. So okay, we said the prototype is that if you are here and you click on this one and you click on this one, if you click unclick, okay, just unclick, navigate. So you can just set this guy to smart animate, change this guy to ease in and ease out, and then make sure you reset scroll. Yeah. So then the next one is this. If you tap here, this one should show up, right? Okay, everything should be the same. But if you click here, right, then you should close back to this one. Let me zoom out. So if you should click here, yeah, it should go back to this one, like that. So I also decided to prototype. I believe you'll be able to do this on your own. But the next section is going to be responsiveness. So we'll make something like this. We extend these guys, they will automatically adjust, just like the way it's supposed to do. Responsive in the sense that they have to adapt to any screen size that you are using, okay, or maybe just to display to the developers the way the different screen sizes will look like, or the way it's going to behave whenever a smaller or a bigger screen is accessing the website. So let's get to work. We are going to do 2 here, and then I believe we can do the rest. Now, I will just duplicate this frame. It's always nice to have a backup. This guy, you can see it's behaved well till maybe it reaches somewhere here. Maybe you can see it's nice, still nice here, but when it gets to here, it's no longer cool. So what we'll say is that, is there any way we can say, you know what, since you look nice like this, don't go beyond this. But if you go beyond, you should hide. And then this one should take over. Okay, just like what we have here. If I should open the one I did in the browser, you can see we have something like this now. If I inspect this design like this and I begin to reduce it, now you can see this guy is reducing. If you get to somewhere, you can see what happened now. So if it gets smaller, then the other screen is going to disappear. What you're going to do now is to select this guy and say we are going to come to the width and then set this guy to add minimum width. Okay, minimum width is a feature in Figma that restricts a particular frame not to go below a certain size. So now I'm going to say minimum width. Now you can type the number here in case if you know, or you can just click and say set to current width. Now when you set it to current width, you can say the current width and the minimum width is now here. Now what this means is this: if I want to resize this guy again, you see it will respond like this, but when it gets to that level, it will no longer respond. The next thing I'm going to do now is to select this one, the frame holding this the contact links and the WhatsApp intro page. Okay, I'm going to set it to wrap. What wrap does is this. Okay, let me illustrate this so that you'll be able to get what I'm doing now. What wrap does is something like this. If I duplicate this thing and let's say I duplicate again like this, I just added a layer now. Maybe just set these guys to 10 and you set it to wrap. Okay, when you set it to wrap, what you basically do now is that you begin to do something like this. If you expand this guy, it will begin to adapt. So is there any way we can make this guy to adapt whenever the frame is being resized? Okay, so now we are here. I'm going to set it to wrap. Now when you set it to wrap, what you just did now is that if you select this guy and resize like this, did you see what happened? What we do now is that since it's set to wrap, we are going to set it to okay, let's say bottom, or maybe let's set it to top. Now when you set it to bottom, let's see, if you set it to bottom, when it jumps, you can see it's actually appearing there, like it's dividing the frame. So what we'll do now is this: you see that this main one, okay, we have to set it to the top. So when we set it to the top and then resize again, let's see if it's going to be. Now, can you see what happened? I want to show you that again. The alignment now is set to center, and center means that they are going to divide this place into equal parts. But look at it. If you resize now, you can see if they are dividing the screen into equal parts. This one should be hidden. It should have gone below, but it's not. Okay, and all you just have to do to fix this is just to take this alignment and put it like this. Did you see? If you put it at the bottom, you basically give this guy authority. Maybe for your own, you might have done something like that and it's behaving weird. Just come here and set it like that. Now I'm selecting an individual frame and it's appearing like that. What if I want to the entire frame now, like this screen? That is, if I resize the screen, does it behave like that? Okay, interesting. Can you see? It behaves like that. In case your own does not behave, it's because of this guy here. If you select this guy, now, can you see under the constraint, in case your own is like this, click here, under the constraint, is set to left plus right. Watch. Sometimes it is set to left, most times,
Okay, now if you resize this guy now, you see that it's no longer responsive. It's just clipping whatever that is not inside the frame. Okay, so for it to respond, you have to set it to left plus right. The same thing on this one too, because this frame is different, left plus right. So anytime you resize both from the left side and the right side, it's going to rest. There's something weird about this. You can see when this guy jumps over, nothing interesting happened. Like you can see it jumps over, and this we now have a dead space here. It's not supposed to happen. When this guy jumps, this one should automatically fill up this space like this. You get? So, but now it did not. So I'm going to press Ctrl C to undo that. Okay. For it to happen, you need to also come here and say we've done this. The one we set before was this. So we are going to select this frame and set and do the necessary settings as well. So we select this frame and come here and say fill container. But when you now click container, they begin to compare themselves to, like they begin to share themselves into equal parts. When you set this guy to fill container, this one keep resizing and resizing and resizing to even the point that it doesn't look nice anymore. You can see something start getting weird all over the place. So that means we might say, okay, I know you can resize yourself, but you don't have to resize yourself more than a certain level. Like if I begin to resize this guy now, you can see it's looking nice from here, but when you begin to come closer, some things are no longer cool. Like I think something like this, when if you can be able to stop here, it's nice. So what we do is to come here and say, since you are good at this level, so that means you should not be able to resize beyond this level again. So we'll select this frame like this and then go to the fill, the width, and then add a minimum width and set it to current size. So with that done now, you can say if I resize this guy, it can be able to resize, but when you get to that point, it will not jump. Now, did you see what happened? Let's say I set this frame back to MacBook Pro system. Okay, let's say you want this guy to look like this. Did you see? So, what that means is this. If it is like this, which means it wants this guy jump, you are going to have this dead space here. Is either you want to go with dead space, then later you explain to the developer what you want it to happen there, or you just set this guy to fill container and later you explain to the developers as well. I want to show you something too, because now if you press spacebar to preview, that is shift spacebar to preview, and then you expand it like this, you see the way it's looking right now. Okay, by default this is how it's looking. Now if you come here and say responsiveness, that is you click on this settings here and then set it to responsive. Now you can see automatically my design fills up like this. I'm going to show you more interesting stuff later on. So when you set it to something like a fit width, you can see the design automatically adapt as well, and when you expand it, you can see everything gets to expand and align very well the way they are supposed to be, which is interesting. Now the next one that is going to be much more interesting to do is this one. So I'm going to duplicate this guy and I will make sure to check if they are responding. Now you can see these ones are not responding right now. Okay, so the first thing we do is to select this guy and this one is set to fill. Okay, and we set this one to fill, and we set this one to fill. Okay, this level to fill. Now you can see they are now beginning to share equal space. Okay, just to make sure they are set to left plus right, the horizontal constraints left plus right like that. So now if I extend this guy, you can see they are all extended. But now some things that need to have more space are not having more space. and the things that doesn't need to have much space are not having plenty space. So how do we do? Like this guy now is not dominating the design, but it's not even that much necessary. Sometimes like this guy is much more important than this one. So is there any way we can say this guy should occupy less space than other ones here? Okay, because now if you said select this guy and respond, all of them are responding, but there are some that need to take much more space than the rest. So now what I'm going to do on this guy is this. I know you can fill container. Yes, but I want you to have a minimum width as well. That is, sorry, I need you to have a maximum width. A maximum width is the highest level you can go. We've been able to set a minimum width in a way that if something gets smaller and smaller to a certain level, it should not go smaller beyond that level. But a maximum width is where if something gets bigger and bigger, okay, sometimes it will become weird if you keep stretching it. So maybe when it reaches the place that it's no longer nice or it's no longer communicating the message it's supposed to communicate, it should not go beyond that level. So that is what maximum width does. So now I'm going to click and say set the maximum width. And the maximum width, I'm going to reduce this kind like this to the same. So you can see it's actually nice like this. Maybe this is what I want. Now, this is the maximum width now. You select and press enter to accept. But now this one is also stretching. Then the next one on this, since we want this one to dominate, so we are going to set a minimum width of this one to be a little bit bigger. So which means if I stir this guy, you know what? I want you to have a minimum width. That means expand like this. Config container. You can fit container but please, but your minimum width should be 660. You can fit container but don't allow yourself to get smaller than 660. If I resize again now, can you see? And that's what that is responding. It can expand, but it cannot go beyond this level like this. Okay, if that is what you want, of course, you can go with it. But if it's not, because it doesn't look responsive again, in my own opinion, but it's all about your needs and whatever you want. If you want all of them to be responding to have equal space sharing the screen, then that is it. Then the next one on this is this. If you can see, as I'm bringing this guy is beginning not to communicate. So here, I'm going to tell this one now to have a minimum width. Here, going to have a minimum width, which means don't get smaller than this current width. So now we expand. It can grow bigger, but it cannot grow smaller. Now the next thing is for them to begin to adapt. So I will double click here and then just switch it to wrap. Wrap means if they ever get smaller like this, they should be able to adapt like that. Now, with what I told you earlier, you just have to set this on to top. Okay, and double click and set this on to top. Now we have something like this. Let's see. You can see this guy is still responding. So responding there means that you have something like this, but we need it to. You can see it's still getting smaller. Yeah, you can get smaller to this extent, but once you reach this level, this should be your minimum width. So add a minimum width here and say set it to current width. So now this one now has a minimum width and a maximum width. So what it does is this: if you can see it can grow bigger, it can grow bigger and smaller, but it doesn't grow beyond a certain level, and it doesn't get smaller uh, uh, beyond a certain level too. So I can resize this guy to any length, but when I begin to resize it like this, it automatically, when it gets to the level that it cannot get smaller than this, it will automatically disappear, and this one will take over, and then I'll begin to resize again and resize and resize, and this one gets a certain level. Yeah, which is pretty cool. Now I'm going to do something like this. If I go to the prototype and then I add a flow, a starting flow on this, I have flow 6. So now, the good thing about this now, the way we've done it, is that if you select this guy and launch the preview, that is shift spacebar, and click on this to expand it like this. Okay, so now when you click here and set it to responsive, did you see? Now our screen will automatically adapt like this. So the good thing about this is this: if you resize Figma, for an instance, let's say you minimize Figma, you see your responsiveness will automatically be showing here because Figma is smaller now. As you begin to resize like this, you can see your screen get bigger and the element gets to come as well. Just like the way every other finished work or every other work that has been developed is going to behave, is the way our design is behaving now. If you want to take your step a little bit further, I want you to copy, it says share prototype, okay, and then copy the link like this. When you copy the link, open your favorite browser, anyone is good enough, and paste the link. Let's view it like a live website now. So now when you are here, you can be able to expand this guy to see like a full preview. Now, if you right click here, you can be able to inspect this guy. So right click here, you'll be able to inspect your design, just like the way you can inspect every live work out there. So now if you begin to resize this guy, it gets resized. So in some level, you have to be the one to explain to the developers what you want. I believe you understand the point now. So with that being said, this is the area we are going to end it for now. But for preparing your work for developers, you will still be the one to explain to them your intentions, how you want it to be. Because now, if I set this frame, all I just have to do now is to just set this frame to the normal size, and all my elements will automatically adjust themselves to fit to whatever I've done there. Let's say you resize this guy like this. You are still the one that will say, if this screen gets smaller like this is how the interface will look like. Okay, but when a user clicks on any chart, the chart will automatically disappear. That is, the chart, the contact list will automatically disappear to show you this one. Let's say I do something like this. So if it disappears, it's going to show you something like this now. I'm going to resize this guy. You explain. This is you explaining or demonstrating to developers what you want. So that means if a user clicks on this guy, contact list will disappear and begin to show you the chart. So click here, and that means if any user is using WhatsApp web with this screen size, so it's more like managing the screen. It cannot show you the contact list and also show you the chart. So basically, when a chart is selected, when a particular contact is selected, it will only show you the contact list. Now, when you now click on the add more up button, which is this button, so what you do now is this. This is where things get a little bit tricky. Okay. Now what you do now is that this one, I will select this one and use the arrow key to move it down like this. Now this is where things get tricky. You can see this one cannot expand beyond this level because we have given it a maximum and a minimum width. But if you are to remove the the maximum width here, let's say we remove maximum width. I'm going to set it to 0, and we are going to, you can see the maximum width is affecting our design there. So when I remove the maximum width now, we can just maybe do this one manually for now. This is us demonstrating in the space where we cannot prototype, or for some reason this space is actually totally different. So you'll be able to maybe say When a user is chatting with a smaller screen of this size, flow is going to look like this. You get? But already you have you've done your prototype. You've shown them like a demonstration of how it's going to be. I want you to understand that this guy is when, like, before this screen comes up, is when you click here on this more option. So let me highlight it so that it's going to be cool. I just added a few, give it a rounded corner of 100 and reduce the opacity to 10. So it's going to be like that. So already you've prototyped that. It's going to look like this. You get during resizing, of screen in real time. But you are still going with this demonstration. This is you trying to give the developers as many information as possible. So I think that is where we are going to stop today. If there's a question, please you can leave a comment down below. I'll try as much as I can to answer you. So please, if you've not subscribed to the channel to this point, I think I will encourage you to do that. Please subscribe so that we can keep the channel going. And at this level, I'll say bye. Have a nice day.